What is up, everybody? Welcome back for another video. Well, Siraj finds himself embroiled in another controversy, and I wish I didn't have to cover it, but I feel I must step in. Let's get started. So I don't want to turn this channel into a sort of tabloid, reporting on the news kind of thing that makes me feel really dirty. And the reason I did the first video is because I felt we could learn something useful from it on the topic of ownership. I thought, Siraj is a human being. He screws up. He deserves the benefit of the doubt. I would want the benefit of the doubt. So let's give it to him as well. But he has totally squandered that, and unfortunately there's no real lesson to be learned here. This is just to call someone out on their ethically bankrupt behavior, because it has to be done. Unfortunately, unless the community takes a strong and firm stance on this behavior will continue. Well, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's because this is another emerging scandal, one which I should have seen coming. A guy named Andrew Webb on Twitter last night revealed that the Neural Qubit paper ostensibly by Siraj was in fact completely and totally plagiarized. There is the only the only words in the paper that are his own are word salad, in fact. So by which I mean he replaced the words quantum gate with quantum door, which has no meaning. There are no quantum doors. There are quantum gates in quantum computers, but there's no such thing as a quantum door. A door is a synonym for a gate, but not in the context of quantum computation. And then he talks about complicated Hilbert spaces. So in mathematics and quantum mechanics, you have a complex Hilbert space. It deals with, linear algebra spaces of observables, which are complex variables. That's where the word complex comes in. It doesn't mean it's complicated. It is not a synonym for complex, right? Complex means, x plus iy, right? A complex number, not a friggin' complicated space of stuff. The only words that are his are totally word salad, and the rest is lifted straight from other papers. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the screenshots here where Andrew has done the hard work of comparing the original to Siraj's quote-unquote paper. You can see the original in green and Siraj's copy-paste job in red. And it turns out this morning that the parts that are not shaded are actually from a separate paper by another group. So the whole thing is in fact plagiarized. And indeed, Siraj, maybe he saw my video and he saw the thing about ownership, and one can think perhaps I do comment on his stuff sometimes and ping him on social media. Maybe he saw my paper about my video on ownership and decided to get ahead of this thing. But he comes out today and tweets, "Yeah, I did it. I'm sorry. I got this really tight production schedule. I wanted to produce 2 videos a week, and I'll be more thoughtful in the future." Well, I call hooey on that. First of all, I didn't see him say at any point that he's not going to plagiarize anymore. If you're called out for plagiarism, the first thing you say is, "It ain't going to happen again," and you need to mean that, and it needs to, be a true statement. It should be the first thing you say. It was wrong. It was ethically bankrupt, and I will never do it again. That would be the first thing I would say if I were embroiled in such a controversy is, "Hey, I'll never do it again. I screwed up." But he didn't say that. He just says he's going to slow down and be more thoughtful. As for the production schedule, man, that is self-imposed. You're a YouTuber. Nobody is forcing you to produce 2 videos per week, particularly when you have a history of taking other people's content and misrepresenting it as your own. Now, I didn't touch on this in the first video. I wanted to keep it succinct and focused on the point of taking ownership for your mistakes. But there is indeed a significant and overwhelming amount of evidence that he directly lifts the work of other people, their own projects, trading bot, the landing the SpaceX rocket on the landing pad. Those 2 that off the top of my head that I recall are specifically plagiarized. And his workaround for this is burying the credit at the bottom of the GitHub README, while in the video saying, "Watch me build this, watch me do this thing." No, man, you're just, this is just so infuriating. If he just said, if he had come out and said, "You know what, this is somebody else's work, but I want to bring it to the light of the world because I think it's awesome, and you can learn something from this. Allow me to, dissect the code and show you how it works," everybody would have been just as happy with that. People would have been, "Hey, would have said, 'Hey, that is a great thing, what you're doing. Please keep it up. The author would have been grateful for it because Siraj has a huge audience, and it certainly would have brought some notoriety to the original author. But no, instead Siraj chose to attempt to steal the goodwill of another individual, to steal their property, their hard labor, their suffering. I mean, if you guys are actually learning deep learning, you know this is a hard topic. You must struggle to learn it, unless you're a genius. Maybe it's easy for you, but for me, I struggle. Every time I do something, it's difficult. It takes many, many hours. And for someone to come along and to steal that is ethically bankrupt, is the only generous way I can describe it, while avoiding getting on the wrong side of the YouTube filter system. So, there isn't a really big lesson to be learned here. We all know not to plagiarize, I hope. So, don't do it. And I take it back. I suppose there is a lesson here. So if you're going to feature the work of other people, if you're a content creator and you want to increase your velocity, increase your production, one good way to do that is to feature the work of other people. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to pretend that you're some AI wizard that can code things up in a week. Just be honest, have integrity, and give credit where it is due. I discovered this in my career that, nobody ever, it was never a knock against you to present the ideas of other people as long as you properly attributed it. Nobody really cared. If you're in a discussion, you say, well, Peter said, maybe we should try this. I think that's a great idea. People say, oh, yeah, that's good, that's good, that's good. And then you all get goodwill. You get goodwill, he gets goodwill. Nobody remembers that you presented somebody else's idea. They only remember that the problem got solved and you can move on with life. It would be the same thing on YouTube if he simply presented the work of other people with proper attribution and then gave them the proper credit and allowed the good juju to flow to them. Everybody would be happy. But instead he's chosen the route of just moral bankruptcy, and there's no excuse for this. The whole excuse of, well, I'm trying to maintain a production schedule doesn't fly. That does not excuse ethically bankrupt behavior. Stealing other people's work, never excusable. Unless someone puts a gun to your head, there's no excuse to do it. So I would invite you all, do not go to his comment section. Don't mention this to him. The thing that Siraj craves the most is attention. If you saw his interview with Lex Friedman, that is what he has always wanted his entire life, is validation from other people. He kind of said that he has moved beyond that because he has the validation, but it's obvious he is not. So the best thing we can do is just simply ignore him. Don't go to his videos. Don't even give it a thumbs down, because it's a little known secret. The YouTube algorithm doesn't distinguish between thumbs up or thumbs down. They're both good as far as YouTube is concerned. All YouTube cares about is getting eyes on ads, and you can do that just as well with controversy videos as I'm doing now, which may bring the thumbs down from Siraj fans, but I don't really care because it helps me. So, if you're a Siraj fanboy, hit that thumbs down button, leave a nasty comment. I don't care. Please do. But do not go to his videos. Don't leave negative comments. Don't brigade. Don't do anything like that, because that only helps his cause. It only brings additional eyes on him, and he really needs to be punished for this. It cannot continue. This cannot continue. This is not acceptable behavior. There's no excuse for it, and it's really a sad thing that we have to make this, for a man to spend so many years doing so much work to build up an audience and then to squander it on just a few YouTube views, some ethereal likes that don't even matter, don't even contribute anything to society. To squander all of that when you had such a powerful platform and you could have done something truly meaningful with it, is just a shame. It's self-destruction in a way that is rarely seen. For someone to achieve so much and then just to piss it all away for just a few likes on the internet is truly a sad thing to see. Yeah, so that is pretty much all I want to say on that. I don't really feel super good about this video. I really wish I didn't have to make it, but I feel like as someone with an academic background, I have to stand against this and say, this will not fly, and you need to go back to the drawing board and just reinvent yourself into someone ethical, someone with integrity, someone that people can actually look up to for the right reasons. This is, now I certainly only have a fraction of the audience that he has, something like 0.5%. So I'm under no delusions that I'm going to move the needle on his popularity, but I have to do my part. Simply, the fact that I haven't been unethical and acquired a massive audience by stealing other people's cool projects doesn't release me from my obligation to come out strongly and say you are wrong and you cannot do this anymore, and people should completely disregard anything you do in the future because of what you have done. People have been cast out for this for less. When people, this certainly isn't the first instance of academic fraud. When it happens in academia, people are blacklisted. They have their PhDs revoked in many cases. And for good reason. The system of research cannot abide by this. It relies on integrity. It has its flaws. It has numerous flaws, in fact. I can make a video on that, but the lack of integrity with respect to plagiarism is certainly not one of them there. Academia is very good about rooting out plagiarists and dealing with them appropriately. So I hope to not make any more videos like this, but I felt it was my duty to come forward and say what you've done is wrong, and people should not give you any attention until you come forth as a more, honest and upright individual who does actual good things for the community. Now, if he does that, then by all means, the man deserves a chance at redemption. He doesn't kill anybody, so, he deserves a chance at redemption. But, simply getting out there and apologizing and saying you'll be more thoughtful is not going to cut it. You have to actually go back to the drawing board and, do some real hard work like the rest of us are, trying to understand this topic, trying to bring it to light of new people that want to understand the material. If you do that, then by all means, welcome back into the fold. But until that time, man, you really need to go back and do the work. That's all for now. I hope to not have to make another one of these. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.